I said salute to the untouchable True School Sports Empire.
That's
Taking
right, the
over
untouchable.
not only the South Florida boxing scene, but the worldwide boxing scene.
Well, it's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I wanted to talk some more about Devin Haney because, Devin Haney recently got into it with Ring Magazine because Ring Magazine recently updated and published their new pound-for-pound lists and rankings, and Devin Haney was not on it, and that is kind of surprising because Devin Haney is undisputed and he's the youngest undisputed champion of the world in like the lightweight division. In the history of the division, the first one since Pernell Whitaker, the first youngest undisputed champion of the four-belt era. So it is kind of crazy he's not on the pound-for-pound list, and he kind of let Ring Magazine know what he thought about that. And it got so much so to the point that Devin Haney said, "Look, I want this Ring Magazine belt. I'll send it back to you guys." He literally tweeted Doug Fisher talking about he want to send the belt back, and he don't want the Ring Magazine belt anymore. So I wanted to give my little 2 cents on this. Now I've got this Ring Magazine article in front of me from Tom Gray, and like he said that Devin Haney is a great fighter and all these things, but like your date of birth doesn't mean anything as far as like when you accomplish something like Devin Haney accomplished. It doesn't mean anything. As far as like how you should be perceived and looked at on a pound-for-pound list, right? But then it's funny because I remember like when it comes to like Inoue, when it comes to Lomachenko, they're always quick to point out that these guys accomplished, being undisputed or unifying the division or scaling a certain amount of weight classes, in such a little amount of fights. But they won't give Devin Haney the credit and recognize him as pound for pound for being the youngest undisputed champion in the four-belt era. So that's, to me, in my opinion, that's a double standard. That is a clear double standard because you can't sit here and you can't gas up certain fighters because they scaled certain weight classes with a certain amount of fights, but then you don't want to give Devin credit because he's only 23, but he happens to have all the belts. I mean, okay, if that's not valued in boxing, then show me another 23-year-old fighter in boxing who has collected all the belts at their respective weight classes. Now, I understand people will demean George Kambosos Jr. and say, well, George Kambosos Jr. is nobody. But last I checked, George Kambosos Jr. was undefeated. George Kambosos Jr. was coming off of a win against Teofimo Lopez, the same Teofimo Lopez who just won Ring Magazine 2020 Fighter of the Year. So George Kambosos Jr. beat the 2020 Fighter of the Year. Devin Haney beat the 2020 Fighter of the Year in 2022 to become the youngest undisputed champion in the four-belt era. And that is not enough to get on the pound-for-pound list. So that's why I always tell you guys, I don't fuck with pound-for-pound. It's a never-ending debate. It's really, unless you're like in the top three, it really doesn't matter in my opinion, because after you get about past the first 3 or 5 fighters, it gets difficult after that. But I'll tell you this: if I had a pound-for-pound list, there's probably about 5 to 6 fighters that would definitely be on my list. Devin Haney would be one of them because of the fact, I'm gonna tell you why Devin Haney would be on my pound-for-pound list. Devin Haney, first and foremost, as he's eloquently stated, he's the youngest undisputed champion of the four-belt era. That's number one. So he's showing you that he's doing things at a younger age. I understand he's got a lot of fights for his age and he turned pro young, but still, to accomplish that is a great feat. Number two, he won the undisputed championships on foreign soil. People are always quick to point out how Usyk has defeated Murakasiev and Joshua and Breedis and all these different types of fighters on foreign soil, but Devin Haney does it, and I don't think it's getting the respect it deserves. That's number two. Number three, he beat George, who just beat the 2020 Fighter of the Year by Ring Magazine, and now they wanted to mean George. And my fourth point, and this is probably the point that I think I'll highlight the most. Devin Haney, out of all the young fighters, like out of Tank and Ryan and Tio, this guy and his father, Devin Haney is the only guy in boxing, only young fighter around those weights, even Shakur Stevenson. He's fought on every platform, like more platforms than anybody. He's fought on DAZN, he's fought on Showtime, he's fought on ESPN. Like, he has actually fought on more networks than anybody. And what that tells me is that, number one, he's got a great team behind him with his dad and people like that. that know how to move him and have given him that flexibility to make the right moves at the right time. But not even just that, it also shows that he's willing to do whatever it takes to put himself in the position to be successful. So even though Devin Haney is not my favorite fighter as far as like his style and he doesn't punch the hardest and things like that, I don't think the best that Devin Haney has been displayed yet. But Devin Haney has behaved like a champion. He's behaved like a dignified champion. He's beaten good veterans. He's won the title on foreign soil. He's fought on different networks. He's shown the willingness to make the big fights. He signed to ESPN to go make this big fight happen. He believed in himself so much, he signed a ridiculous deal where he'd have to fight George Kambosos again, even if he blew him out, which he did. And he's going to do it again. He honored the contract. And he's been a man of his word. So how is someone who's operating like a dignified champion not a pound-for-pound top 10 fighter? So I'm saying all these things, and I'm making all these points to say this. Does Devin Haney have a reason to feel the way he feels? I think he does. Are there a lot of great fighters in boxing right now? Or are we kind of like, in my opinion, I feel like pound for pound has never been harder to figure out in boxing than it is now, because there's so many great fighters spread out across so many different weight classes that are doing so many great things in boxing right now. So it's hard. But I always feel like there's always 5 to 6 fighters who you should definitely pencil in as sure guys that are on the pound for pound list. Devin Haney is one of them. Artur Beterbiev is one of them. Usyk is one of them. Crawford is one of them. You know, Canelo is one of them. You know, these guys all, you know, in my opinion, Bivol, got another one of them. Chocolatito, another one. Like, these guys all, without a shadow of a doubt, are pound for pound. You know, Fulton, another one. Like, these guys are all doing things, in my eyes, which are, shadow of a doubt, pound for pound, top 10 worthy, and they're on that list for me. So, Devin Haney, I think, some people who don't like that may say he's whining, he's crying, he's complaining, but so far, as far as I'm concerned, he's done everything asked of him, and he's still doing everything asked of him, even to the point where, like, he's fighting a fight that nobody really wants to see, but because he has to, because he signed a contract that he only signed because he believed in himself. You know, if like, I honestly feel like if Canelo signed a contract like that, or Usyk signed a contract like that, or Fury or Crawford, these guys be praised to no end. Because it's Devin Haney, because Devin doesn't, you know, talk a lot of shit outside the ring most of the time, because Devin doesn't have necessarily a casual, fan-friendly style, he gets shortchanged. But it's all good, because class, just like in a boxing match, in life, in his career, class will tell over time. And if Devin Haney is pound for pound, creme de la creme, top shelf, he'll just keep doing what he's doing. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button and surely you will not be disappointed. You know, True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, you know, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia, and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God.